It's Rog, back like the US women's national team at the Olympics. Actually, more accurately, back like Brendan Aronson at Leeds. And we'll talk about the US women's national team's march to glory in this show. Also, the return of English football via the curtain-raising Community Shield. Manchester City quintuple. It's happening! Okay. Let's do this thing, this being the Men in Blazers Football Holiday Pod Special, brought to you by our great friends at Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code MIB for a first deposit match up to $100. I'm actually, as you can see here, back in Liverpool, broadcasting live from my mum and dad's house, surrounded by their bric-a-brac, their old photos, their memories, lots of images of Teen Rog with large hair that can only be described as Cucurella before there was even a Cucurella. I am here because we're in the midst of MIB's first ever football holiday in Great Britain, a week-long journey. We're currently immersed. We are knee-deep in all of this, travelling up and up and down the nation to revel in the return of the league we love back into our loving arms. Our goal when we set out was simple. It was to eat all of the pies, to sink multiple pints, attack every English breakfast we can possibly lay our hands on. I think we've been here for 4 days, I believe. J-Dubs is keeping count. I've had 5 of those beauties. Each one tastes better than the last. We actually opened up Thursday in North London with Tottenham Hotspur. A really reflective Ange Postecoglou and a quite amped Son Heung-min. We then barrelled immediately up north to Liverpool to see my beautiful mum. Past 48 hours we spent in Wrexham, or with the sun out, it felt like the Costa del Wrexham, and we got to witness the return of League One wonder for Wrexham AFC with my friend Tommy Kaus, Tommy Cheese, filming episode 1 of season 2 of This Week in Wrexham. Thanks to our friends, the great people at Stoke Cold Brew Coffee. All I can say is, I can't wait for you to watch it, because the whole town was absolutely buzzing the whole time we were there, but buzzing in a fairly remarkable way. Spoiler alert, Wrexham won the game 3-2. Let's just say we lived all of the emotions. Going into the game, when we were filming, talking to people about what do they hope for after back-to-back promotions, what do they dream about, there was a lot of talk, a lot of expectation management, people using a word, consolidation. We don't expect to win, we don't expect to get promoted, we just want to feel solidly League One again. League One was the level that Wrexham were at, almost traditionally. That was their weight class before they financially imploded and the darkness descended. So there's a lot of nerves about being back, a lot of pride about being back, a lot of consolidation. Everybody had that word on their lips. And then Wycombe took the field. Wrexham, after, was it 8 minutes, 9 minutes, scored a glorious opening goal. We were sitting in the Stoke end, or standing in what was traditionally the Tech end. It went utterly bonkers. And I've got to tell you, after 36 hours of consolidation, when that ball went into the back of the net, there were just shirts off all over the place, people screaming, and it felt like sod consolidation. Where are Real Madrid going to park the bus when the Champions League takes place here inexorably in, is it 3 seasons? And it was magic. That's what football does. There's the heart, and there's the mind, there's the rational consolidation, and there's the heart which says we are going up, and you're constantly fluctuating, every fan of every team, between the two. I have to say, Wrexham did play all the hits. They played storming football in that first half, and then they played we are going to kick you in the down belows in the second half, just crap the bed, really let Wycombe back into the game. They held on, and it was utterly magnificent. Got to taste my old friends, the first victory beer at the Turf with Wayne after the game, and then have a glory kebab, which is the greatest tradition before coming home. One last note on Wrexham. It was incredible to see and hear so many Americans around the town, the whole bloody town. This is astonishing. The taxi driver who took me from Liverpool to Wrexham does a lot of football tours for tourists who come in mostly to see Everton and Liverpool. And he said, I'm kidding, there was not that many for Everton, if I'm being honest, mostly for Liverpool. But he said, now, he's like 7 out of 10 people who come in from, Australia or America, a lot from America, a lot from Scandinavia, when they're here in Liverpool, which in itself is a radical idea for someone who grew up in the 80s, people coming on vacation to Liverpool, he said they are asking him to drive them to Wrexham. They'll get out, take a photo at the stadium, the Stoke Kairas, go into the turf, buy a pint, down the pint, and then head home. And it is truly remarkable. I met so many Americans, some of them who I met a guy from Philadelphia who goes to 5, 6, 7, 8 home games a season. I mean, then it's not just one-offs. Really, they know people in Wrexham have become part of the fabric of the culture. I've not experienced anything like it. To more, as Big Ange said to me on Thursday, football at its best is all about making generational memories. Here's to making generational memories together. And I want to start with a quick toast. I wish I had a third first Michelob Ultra of the day. I've just got this cup of tea that my mum just made. Thanks, Val. I want to raise it to Tim Ream, a great American, as he returns to our shores to play with Charlotte. Tim Ream's Premier League career was, we'll talk about what it was, but to me, the single most inspirational in American men's history. A gent who reached the peaks of world football via a journey which ultimately was a masterclass in tenacity, in belief, in patience. 13 seasons, 312 Fulham appearances. That only tells part of the story because it was really how Tim did it that makes him truly, truly great. Written off at first, told by his manager that he was surplus to requirements, should leave, only to fight on. And at 35 years old, experience the season of his life alongside fellow American Anthony Robinson. And we can debate where Tim's Premier League career ranks in the pantheon of great Americans. I think behind Clint Dempsey, no doubt. Tim Howard's, just the longevity was a truly immense achievement. But then for me, Tim is up there with your Claudio Reyners and your Friedels, scoring Premier League goals and filling incredible World Cup performances, unleashing dazzling techers, even catching the eye of Pep Guardiola. Just immense wonder after wonder to watch this child of Missouri revel in every single moment, stay humble throughout. I've become proud to call Tim a friend in this time. I can confirm that the man-bun-clad pillar of the US men's national team backline, Mound City Maldini, is just an all-round magnificent human being. Spent a lot of time also around this Charlotte organisation recently. I adore the manager, proper villain man, Dean Smith, and I can't wait to come back and watch and buy Tim all the Bojangles in North Carolina. Savour every second. Godspeed. Okay, let's get to it. The US women's national team are winners once more. A record-extending 5th Olympic gold medal. We beat Brazil, a very, very feisty Brazil. Parabens to them. The final score 1-0 in Paris yesterday. And my lord, so much to learn about this game, so much to learn about this journey. First of all, and most importantly this, remember, August 6, 2023, our US women were knocked out of the World Cup against Sweden in the round of 16. And our footballing world anyway, felt like it had ended. The sky most certainly had fallen. We had plummeted so far behind the best in the world. Our style of play seemed antiquated, our coaching a liability. And we meet here 370 days later. We back. Gold medal winners. Our team, a young, fearless, ferocious collective, led by the remarkable Emma Hayes, a coach, in her own words, and I love this, born in England, but made in the USA, who brought her effervescent player management, her tactical intelligence, and delivered instant impact. To use those words, instant impact, is barely to scratch the surface. Just 10 games, 10 undefeated games. But we first of all have to agree, up top, football's greatest lesson, probably the reason I love football the most, because it constantly makes fools out of all of us. And in doing so, reminds us, it's really humbling to admit this, that we know nothing. Because who could have seen this? May 21st, 2024, Emma Hayes named her first roster. That is just 80 days ago as we chat. May 28th, Emma Hayes conducted her first practice with these players in Colorado. That was just 73 days ago. August 10th, yesterday, the US team wins an Olympic gold medal. Let me be clear, this is the most impressive extreme tournament makeover American football has ever witnessed. And if you want a breakdown of the game, the actual winning, I just direct you to my friend Sam Mewis and the great Becky Sauerbrunn, analysing it instantly, quite brilliantly, on the Women's Game channel. You can find it on their YouTube, their podcast stream. They will go through the game blow for blow. But I'll say that game, the final, the 1-0 win over Brazil, like each of the knockout round games for this US team, was a true gruelling battle. This one won, thank God, inside the 90 minutes. But Brazil had chance after chance. And listen there. Well, Alyssa there burnished a reputation as one of the greatest cult heroes this women's team, which has had so many, has ever seen. Uncle Alyssa, one of the single greatest nicknames in the entire world of sport right now. Strong hands, great reflexes, terrific positioning, huge moments. Let's just say, Alyssa there, it was not just there to take the penalties, people. Brazil were honestly tactically audacious, particularly in that first half. Their ferocious, unrelenting press, combined with a US team that had closed all their exercise rings 2 games ago, they made this a nervy first 45. I think under Emma, the nerviest. Our defence constantly under pressure. Brazil had a goal ruled out for offside in the 16th minute when Ludmila got in behind. Our holy trinity of attackers were totally starved of service. Brazil's forward line pinned them back. Trinity Rodman spent most of that first 45 defending quite brilliantly, but that's not where we wanted to see or expected to see her. And when Brazil did get in behind, we saw flashes of their true threat, their true brilliance. We have to credit Brazil manager Arthur Elias, who set his team up brilliant in this game, throughout the tournament made bold calls, and I think was so close to being rewarded. But this is a team, an American team, that has struggled, but find a way to create solutions to every problem that's been thrown about them. That's what's brilliant about watching this tournament. Hayes has come in and just instantly, mentally and physically transformed just our sense of self. That is the core. A lot of people criticising very early on. I remember the altcast we did for Turner, the Costa Rica game, the 0-0 game going into the Olympics. There was just a howling mania. A lot of people on Twitter, let the American DNA shine, let us be ourselves. But Emma is one thing and one thing only. She is a winner. She understands what it takes to win. And I mean, Harvard case studies should be written about how she took that mentality and so quickly just inculcated it throughout this tiny squad. It is utterly remarkable. As is remarkable that just 11 weeks ago, Emma was just giving her all to Chelsea Football Club to take them to the title, giving her everything, shattering herself in the process. Remember, she arrived here utterly, I think, physically shattered after the tightest of title races, which Chelsea ultimately outlasted Manchester City, but really went down to the last kick of the ball. She was mentally spent when she arrived, and she brought instantly a work ethic. She brought a tactical savvy. She brought a sense of belief, which infused itself into this squad. That's who she is, a perpetual winner. She proved that in her club career. She's less manager, I think ultimately more a force of nature, bending games to her team's will. She's English, But as we'll talk about, her personal tapestry is so woven, her biography in with this nation. I mean, she came on this podcast and told the story of her late father calling her from the 1999 World Cup and telling her of a world where massive crowds gathered in enormous stadia to watch women's football. While at the time, women's football in Britain was just such an outsider sport. It was utterly unthinkable. And then Emma made the move over here herself. She did the hard yards. She coached at the Long Island Lady Rough Riders, semi-professional team. She coached in college at Iona University in Westchester, New York. Up the Gales! Took over the Chicago Red Stars. Did not work for her there. Eventually returned to England, where she proved herself to be this serial winner, this tactical alchemist, this leader of human beings. But that love of America, the sense of possibility there still shone bright inside of her. I love what she said when talking to GFOP Mike Tirico on NBC in that post-match interview. I love America. It made me. We'll get back to that because there's an entire lifetime in those 6 words, and it's so humanly beautiful. I obviously relate to it so deeply, and that's ultimately what she brought to this moment. That is what I think propelled this team. That was this team's heartbeat, and Brazil. Ultimately, huge respect, brought that fight, but it is hard to be an agent of chaos for a full 90 minutes. Their pace did drop a percentage into the second half. Felt like a storm clearing. We've all seen that where calmer seas just break out. Actually took the United States a moment to adjust and to realise, hey, we've got an extra moment on the ball here. 57 minutes in. That was just a historic moment of wonder. Mal Swanson, marking her 100th cap on the day, played the ball back to Corbin Albert, who then just unfurled a triple beam balance weighted ball back to the charging Swanson, got in the crevice of space between her and the right back and the centre back, and she just calmly almost stroked the ball home. She knew as soon as that left her foot that was going in, and I can't imagine the emotions that flowed through her veins in that second, the agony of 343 days out with just a terrible injury, 3 surgeries, 1 World Cup missed, to return to tournament play and deliver over and over and over. As her husband's t-shirt says, Mal Swanson is good at soccer. And look, the football for the US not always syncopated. This game, without Nair, without Sonic coming up big late, without Mal staying on side by like an inch when she received that pass, it could have ended very, very, very differently. Brazil had so many chances not taken, but who cares? Emma Hayes has shown this team the pathway to winning again. And this win was very different than how we used to win, to be honest. This is where the transformation is so impressive and truly radical for the United States women's national team. Because in the golden days, the lauded days, the days when almost our, the tapestry, our mythology began, 1999, even in 2015, the focus, it was almost just winning. That's what we did. How do we win? We just won. We rolled over opponents who were vastly inferior. But under Emma, it's almost as if the focus is on the process of winning. The tactics, the technical, the collective work, the ferocious mindset that lead to winning. And I keep thinking back to Emma's comments before the Zambia game. This was a remarkable moment, and it's not been talked about as the tournament went on. But do you remember when she said, these are Emma's words, before a ball had been kicked, one of the biggest problems has been that too often we talk about what we're going to do in Paris or what happens when you get to the semis or the final. It's disrespectful to the rest of the world to talk like that. The game has moved to the point where that isn't the case. It isn't a shoe-in to get somewhere. It has to be earned. We have to refocus a little bit and have respect for the rest of the world. And at the time, there was an echo of shock amongst the fans. Many thought Emma was actually playing the game of expectations management, preparing not to win. But when you read her comments again, now, it's pretty clear. Emma Hayes was actually setting out the roadmap for her players of how to win, with respect for the world, with respect for every opponent, and earning that respect back game by game, win by win, which is exactly what we did in France. We witnessed a game-by-game transformation, a game-by-game progression. Remember, last August, our US women's national team felt like we had squandered supremacy, that we'd become a floundering, formless proposition who no opponent feared. Squad had been bogged down by a legendary generation of winners, many of whom had long since peaked as footballers. To see us become this young, mobile, intelligent collective who are instantly true contenders, it is alchemy. It really is. And when Emma arrived, we lamented how she'd been hired with the Olympics too soon. Like with a lot of talk of how the Olympics, she's not going to have any impact, that she's really a hire for the World Cup in 2027. That's her real goal. But instead, Emma just calmly strolled in and for one of the most impressive squad transformations I have ever witnessed. Old players ushered out, and the grip many of them wielded within that locker room culture left with them. This was a victory ushered in with the green shoots of youth, in which there were leaders revealed on the field. Naomi Girma showing herself to be the team's really the anchor, the national institution almost in the process, the tone setter for a team that fight and can grind their way to victory, knowing that they can suffer more than their opponents when they need to. See the Japan game, see the Germany semi-final 3 weeks ago. Remember this. Mal Swanson, Sophia Smith, Trinity Rodman had never started a game together. Now they are the faces of this team and one of the most kaleidoscopic, freewheeling, feared, creative, attacking front lines in the modern international game. But there's really only one face of the team now, and that's Emma Hayes. And I wrote about her on Friday in my newsletter because I keep thinking about the iconic quote from legendary Italian coach Giovanni Trapattoni, who once said, I talk about this a lot, but it really bears thinking, a good manager can make a team 10% better. A bad manager can make it 30% worse. And just remember this, the gulf in US performances between Emma and her predecessor Vlatko Andonovski really suggests that this is true. Even though the percentages actually feel like they're kind of wildly off, it's much more than 10%, possibly more than 30. Last World Cup, though, this is the great news, was a blip, not a feature. The United States are back, but it is thanks to the brilliance of Emma Hayes, who, I've got to say, watching on British television, she is all over British television, less the play of the team, but more the soundbite of her saying, this is the greatest moment of my career. And I love that, because remember, Emma has won everything over here, over and over and over, but to watch that Londoner, that proper Cockney, tell the cameras, I love America, it made me. Let me read that again. I love America, it made me. It's so profound and so deeply moving. I share that sense. I call my memoir Reborn in the USA. And that's what Emma Hayes is living out before our eyes right now. It's the beauty of our nation. It's the beauty of Emma's biography. It's the beauty of women's football and its modern history in the United States. The power of the American modern history. I just love to sit down and talk with Emma right now, a fellow English person who has been saved by their adoration of all that's good about our aspirational nation. There's so many challenges that America faces, like any nation, but when it is good, it is so profoundly, personally, deeply transformative. And I find it so moving. I find it so moving when Emma talks about the death of her father, Sid. She tells the story of how his dying words amongst them were, if you ever get the opportunity, you have to take the job with the United States. How must she feel now, so soon, still in this period of mourning, taking her father's wish and making it real on the sideline with the USA with us, wearing our crest, winning with us, winning gold at the Olympics. In many ways, US soccer's resurrection on the women's side is Emma Hayes' resurrection. She was shattered when she arrived. 10 weeks later, she's an international champion. So many layers to this, but the biggest headline is this project is just in its infancy. We are just getting started. This American collective will continue to grow. The vulnerabilities in midfield will have more time to work themselves out. There is still so much more to come, and it feels so utterly magnificent. This dominant emotion, I think we're all experiencing it, right, is joy. Unbridled joy around American football once again. And after all we've been through, with both the men's side and the women's side, that emotion, pure, undecanted joy, is something we'll never take for granted again. Please God, we're getting a manager on the men's side, I really mean this, who can bring an aspect of the order, the focus, the idea of football that Emma has. Let us pray. One last quick word on the final. The game was, I hope, the first of a new chapter of glory for the United States women, but it was also the last international moment for that Brazilian goat, Marta. Her glittering career's over. What was it, 6 Olympics? Over 20 years. That's incredible. Her transcendent play, the peerless passion, the millions of young girls and boys around the world she's inspired, including people like Trinity Rodman, who talked about it before the game, that what an inspiration, Marta, to take the field with Marta on it for so many of these players must have just been utterly ineffable. All we can say is, Marta, obrigado for all you have done, changing the sport forever. You will remain undoubtedly the greatest mono-named player the women's game has ever seen. And before we continue this Men in Blazers football holiday special, let me remind you, it's presented by Prize Picks. We want to let you know Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. I love playing because it's the easiest, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. Watch the winnings roll on in. Get in on the daily action with your friends. Become part of the Prize Picks community today. Prize Picks available in more than 30 states across the country, including California, Texas, Georgia. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks and turn $10 into $1,000. Oh, quick word on the Community Shield at Wembley yesterday, which ended Manchester City 1, Manchester United 1. City then proceeded to win on penalties 7-6. This is the traditional curtain raiser on the English season. I've got to say, it felt oddly subdued. The whole build-up has felt subdued. Honestly, the past month since the Euros finished, it feels like there's almost a hangover of an ecstatic tournament. Couple that with almost a cricket-filled transfer market. Fabrizio's been working on fumes. To be honest, this game itself is also deeply ceremonial. I think it's safe to say got about as much bearing on the actual outcome of the league title as the Olympics opening ceremony has on who'll win the 100 metres final. When Manchester City win yesterday, you watch it, their players barely cracked a smile. And United honestly didn't appear devastated at all in a moment of defeat. City honestly played a largely experimental youth team. 19-year-old senior debutant Nico O'Reilly, Manchester-born academy product, been at the club since he was 8, really impressed on the summer tour. Also in the City 11, 21-year-old James McAtee, spent the last 2 years on loan at Sheffield United, scoring 12 goals there for the Chip Butties. And even with the kids, City utterly dominated a fairly sterile first half, proof of just how good they are, proof of just how deeply Pep's ideas is baked to the levels of City's DNA. That is probably more frightening than anything for United. Honestly, victory and just not soiling themselves. So much gloom in that they came 8th last season. That gnawing fear over the direction under Sir Jim Ratcliffe's new minority ownership. Massive staff cuts, always rumoured to be looming. The fact that Ten Hag remains the manager, despite the club being linked with almost every available option down the stretch last season. Their woeful form. Marcus Rashford up front in particular, which seemed to carry on in this game as he made and couldn't convert chance after chance. The terrifyingly long injury list, which has taken away just about anyone who could loosely be called the first choice defender. I think, was it Harry Maguire, Johnny Evans, in this age of liquid football, watching them start, it's like seeing a hearty stew. And then nagging self-sabotager, Andre Onana in goal. Just if you want to enjoy yourself this weekend, just watch the penalty shootout in which he tried to put off every single Manchester City shooter, particularly Erling Haaland, with just epic clowning. That's the only way I can describe itself. None of it worked. I think he saved 1 of 8 kicks. But honestly, I would not be surprised if Fabrizio Romano announced Andre Onana to Netflix comedy special deal incoming. Honestly, he's to penalty shootouts what Reagan is to breakdancing. The truth is, Community Shield tells us nothing. City have lost the last 3. And we all know how the title ended in the wake of it. I think only 1 of the past 13 Community Shield winners have gone on to win the title. And they asked Ruben Dias post-game, "What does this trophy mean to you?" And he just looked at it and goes, another trophy. Almost sadly. Bring on the Premier League, which starts next Friday with Manchester United hosting Fulham. I cannot wait for it to be back in our loving arms. I do want to close by raising a Stoke cold brew to the start of that Football League, which happened this weekend across Britain. And while I was at Wrexham, there were no fewer than 6 Americans in action. Josh Sargent at Norwich, Aidan Morris at Borough, Lyndon Gooch at Stoke, Ethan Horvath across Wales in Cardiff, all getting the start. And also Coventry's Hadji Wright and Brendan Aronson coming off the bench in his first game back at Leeds. The gent gave us a moment to dream. God bless you, Brendan. Reportedly put on £6 of muscle in the off-season. I think it may be his engagement ring. Congratulations, Brendan Aronson, you beautiful human being. God bless you. Brendan came on the sub in the 72nd minute in Leeds, playing newly promoted Portsmouth. His side conceded an injury time, went down 3-2. But in the 95th minute, all hail that Yank Badger. Received the ball at the top of the 18-yard box, so he was back to goal, took a touch, got it out from under his feet, and then just drove a shot home through the defender's legs to equalise for Daniel Farke's mob. We also have to mention, I'd like not to, but Brendan did proceed to miss a chance for a winner 2 minutes later. But even with that being said, to see Brendan back in English football, back at Leeds, bulked up, scoring big goals and big moments, just hope it rekindles the romance between Brendan and the Ellen Road faithful. He is a gent that I know from speaking to his father Rusty, who feels things deeply. Godspeed to you, Brendan Aronson. Godspeed to you, Leeds United. It's incredible to see a player from Metford, Jersey, who spends his off-seasons doing GTL, gym, tan, Leeds. Okay, that is it for today. JW and I are headed to Liverpool tomorrow, spend some time with Big Verge, then back up to London tomorrow night. Keep tuned to our social, follow every step of our journey as we devour English breakfast after English breakfast, and we will eat all the pies. This is Rog, sending love to you all. I'll be back with a big Premier League preview with Rory Smith. Send us your questions at meninblazers@gmail.com. We will answer as many as we can. I'm actually going to go and visit my old man's grave for the first time since the funeral. So wish me luck. Let's not take a second of any of this for granted. Big love to all of you. It's Rog saying courage and go USA.